Dude, doesn't that rip?
You're an idiot.
No, you're an idiot.
Welcome back, people of all races and most religions. It's the You're an Idiot podcast. I'm Alex Dragovich. We've got a fucking very special guest with us today, guys. The wonderful, the hilarious Terence Hartnett. I was going to call you Scary Terry.
Scary Terry's in the house.
He's
Look
back,
out.
baby.
Terry is such a Chicago way to address me.
I know.
Yeah, I love it. I feel it.
It's funny out here. Did you have New York comics do this where like New York comics called me Alex for like 2 months, and they heard all my friends call me Drago.
And they're like, I like Drago
They're
better.
all gonna go Drago.
Like,
but
I'm one of those guys who calls you Terry.
Yeah, Terry's the
Catches
man.
on.
We started in Chicago together. Terence Hartnett now lives in Vienna. Was a New York comic for a while. We started in Chicago together, and I'm glad this is long overdue, man.
A lot to talk about, a lot to address.
Absolutely.
Many stories to tell.
Let's get ahead of it right away. You were on death's door. You were a full-blown cancer survivor.
And like a real one. You know what I mean? Like some people, I can say it. We're all thinking it. You know
A
what
real
I mean?
one.
You see a young guy say, I had cancer. You're wondering like, okay, where was the mole? You know, like
Yeah.
how bad was the sunburn that you had or whatever?
Dude, you were like, you had it in a way that was, I remember, like my timeline is at the start of it, this was a few years ago, the first time you had it was testicular cancer. And then at that time, I remember this is what, 2019, 2020?
2021.
In 2021. And you were like, oh, I just got to get a ball removed. A lot of people do this.
No big deal. Kind of hilarious. Just kind of fun cancer. Yeah. Like it was like, you know what I mean? Like that one I had no chemo. They did it was beginning to ending 2 months. Like from the first visit, like my ball is big to I'm recovering from cancer and it seems like it's fine. 2 months. It was just the end of the summer in 21.
A summer of cancer.
Yeah. So it was hard. They took the testicle out and it was like aggressive and rare cancer. So that was a little bit concerning, but they go, probably hasn't spread. But to make sure it hadn't spread, they opened up my belly to look at my lymph nodes. And that was a pretty intense surgery because it's your whole abs are cut in half.
Yes.
It goes down the middle of your belly like a fish, you know, and they take your guts out and they mess with your lymph nodes in there.
They fully just take your guts out.
They sit on your chest. Yeah. I mean, actually, Tom Green did the same surgery, so he put it on YouTube.
Oh my God.
He actually put it on MTV. It was on MTV when Tom Green had a show.
It's kinda
you know who
badass.
Tom Green is, right?
Of course.
Not everybody does know who Tom. I'm finding out.
Well, Gen Z is probably a little bit out of touch.
It's like Josh Hartnett. I got two people who I always ask about because it's like, well, Josh Hartnett he shares my last name. Do you know who Josh Hartnett is?
Yes.
So him and Tom Green, I'm always like, I have a pretty good gauge of their popularity because I'm always bringing them up and go, do you know this? And then it's like, anyone younger than me? No idea. Anyone my age or older? Yeah, of course.
Yes. You remember the look like the American Pie look like I used to do?
100%. Doesn't work anymore.
Doesn't work.
Sorry to say.
Even a little bit. you're talking like 2017 was like it was pretty much my only good joke. And now, like, I look like an extra in American Pie. Like, people are stunned.
That sucks.
They're like shocked.
Does it make you feel old?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. That's how. Yeah. And also, just trying to do a joke that I did in 2017 also is already like humiliating.
We've all been there.
But then you're like, because sometimes I'm like, oh well, for a couple of years, like maybe 2021, like right after, it would like work on the road. It was like a road middle of the sticks joke where people was like, oh yeah, I get it. Now nowhere. Everyone's just like, we're done. But anyway, so they take out your guts. They looked at it and then they found something then.
Yeah, but actually they found no spread of the cancer. So it was pretty much all good news. That's why it was like all kind of like, haha, no big deal. No chemo, no radiation, no other treatments, just 2 surgeries and I was done. The second surgery did mess me up. Like I was like in bed for a month, like hard to move because it's like your abs are everything. So even turning and getting a soda, like anything, turning, getting up, sitting up, pissing and shitting, all that was affected and that was hard.
Yeah.
But they were like, we got it all. You're good. Continue living your life.
Yeah.
You didn't have cancer anymore.
And so this first time, no hair loss or anything.
No, there's no chemo. There was no treatments. There was really kind of like no death. Like no one mentioned death.
Did you get a replacement ball?
No.
Some guys do. I know
They
this is a
do.
thing.
They do.
Connor laughed. Our producer, our wonderful producer,
Everyone
gave it a
acts like
chuckle.
it's a big joke, but I've also I've been in touch with a lot of men and people in the one ball community, of course.
Yes.
My show is called One Ball Show at Fringe.
Let's do a quick plug for that before we
Sure.
get into the story. Terrence is bringing his show across the pond to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Do a quick plug for us.
It's my third Edinburgh Fringe, and for my third Fringe, I'm bringing 2 shows. So I'm doing my original show, which is called One Ball Show, tells the whole story of the cancer, and I'm doing an update, which is kind of like a sequel. It's called One Lung Run, about living with one lung and starting to run a marathon, or maybe at least a half marathon with one lung. I ran a half marathon yesterday.
You nailed it
with one lung. Had a
dude,
really good
so
time.
fucking cool.
Thanks a lot.
So awesome. No, dude, it's I saw the One Ball Show last year, and it was the best hour of comedy I think I've seen. It's like, sincerely, it was the hardest I've laughed. It was captivating. It was like, I cannot wait for this fucking thing to be seen by people. If you want me to be like perfectly honest, I it's probably top 3 of my life. I consider,
Of course. I was so surprised you said anything like that.
Sincerely, man, like, I haven't been Terrence did kind of a dry run for essentially like 15
Generously 15
friends
people.
and
in a coffee shop.
and family in like a coffee shop, and it was like it was ballistic. I could not believe it, dude. I sincerely couldn't believe it. It's so fucking good. When this comes out, I'm gonna do everything I can to push it, and I hope everyone can see this, dude. Because
Thanks, yeah.
You're like they say, it's like you've had this thing happen to you. But you turned it into you made it an artistic form of expression in the best possible way. You must feel amazing about it.
That's really great. I really wanted to come out. I don't feel that yet. I mean, I felt it when I was at Fringe last year doing that show. I felt it, and then it's kind of gone away. And now I filmed the show, and I'm gonna put it out next month or 2.
Yeah.
And so I'll be pumped to put it out again. I'll put it on YouTube probably.
Guys, and again, like, make sure to follow Terry. We'll do some more plugs at the end of the episode, but yeah, when this thing comes out, make sure to see it.
That means the world, Drago. You're such a harsh critic. You're such a gamer. You're so in the game and like obsessed.
Yeah.
That it means a lot.
I hate stand-up. I hate stand-up comedians. I think they all suck. No, but I'm sincerely, dude. It's a work of art, dude. It's so good. And yeah,
and it's not sad. That's kind of thing too I want to talk about. It's like, it's not sad. It's not sappy. There's no like big morals, and like at the end of the day, I really thought about.
I know,
it's a series
dude.
of bits about what it was like to have cancer. It's just a series of bits,
and that's what's amazing about it too. That you do, I think, like, obviously, like, so, like, consciously, like, you do such a great job too. There's only a couple moments where you make the audience think you're going to get sad for a second,
yeah.
And then it's just probably some of the biggest punchlines of the show. So no, it's brilliantly done. It's gonna be. I mean, I can't wait for it. And you did it at the Gutter here in Brooklyn. So
it was a great night. It was really. I did only one show, and it had to be really good, and it was really good. I'm glad I didn't do 2 and like have like half my friends go to one and half my friends go to the other one.
Yeah,
it was like a packed room. It went great. Got it in the can.
No, that's huge.
And
man.
yeah, there's a lot of tension, and cancer's got a lot of tension. So it's easy to be like punchline. You know, it's like it's fun.
No, you nailed it.
But it was really fun.
Let's get back to the storyline then.
Yeah.
So you're saying no to a ball, essentially. You're saying no to a second
no
ball.
prosthetic. Yeah, sorry. So I've talked to a lot of people in the one ball community, and some of them got prosthetics and some of them didn't. I don't really understand why. For me, it would be another surgery. So they couldn't do it.
Right.
They couldn't do like an Indiana Jones, take one ball out and put the other one in at the same time.
Yeah, I had a high school friend who went through this as well, and he said no to the ball as well, and a lot of guys say no to the ball.
I don't know. It's hard to imagine why to say yes. Like, I mean, like, the joke I do is like, it's the same reason I haven't like decorated my asshole with like, I haven't bedazzled it. You know, there's like, if you're looking right at it, like, you're already pretty much on board with having sex with me anyway. Like, why am I gonna break the deal at that point?
Right. Balls are not like, they're not a make or break.
You're not gonna even like, the girl who hooks up with you is not gonna mention your balls at brunch or your lack of balls.
Yeah. If a girl says anything about your balls, you should start worrying about your dick. Honestly, like, that's when you start to worry about because no girl's gonna talk about Girls should not be talking about your balls.
If you get a ball compliment, your dick is trash.
Your dick is absolute.
If your balls are
trash.
mentioned at all, then yeah. Your dick isn't doing the work to distract them from the balls.
So you get no ball, and then essentially your life goes back to normal.
Yeah, I got basically a year off. And then in that time, like I was getting back into, I was doing my first one ball show, which is kind of like a fun, like, haha, I've got one ball. I had cancer, but not really. Like,
right.
So I kind of felt like I kind of know the difference between like cancer and cancer, you know, like when it's like, okay, that was real cancer. Because I've had both kinds. I've had the kind where it's like,
yes,
I had cancer, not really.
Yeah. No, you've had fun cancer and not fun cancer.
Exactly, like fun cancer.
It's
where
so funny to say it like that.
Yeah, like fun cancer, where it's like I had it, I get to say I had it, but I didn't really have it.
Sure.
I think the difference really is like chemo is one of the differences. If you had to do chemo, that's like pretty serious.
Right. So the year happens, right. And then you get a checkup.
Normal checkup. It happened to coincide. I was going to the doctor anyway because I had a cough, like a bad cough, and my voice was like this, like I had like an RFK voice. Like,
oh my god.
Do you remember talking to me at that time? I don't know. I wasn't talking a lot, but I had like this crazy voice that was like pushing all the time. I was like, I must be really sick because of this voice, and I'm coughing a little bit. It happened to coincide. The doctors were like, hey, it's probably an infection. They gave me like antibiotics. And then I had a regular cancer screening, which I have now all the time, every 3 to 6 months. And then in one of those screenings, it had been 6 months. That's what it was. Every 6 months I got a screening because in 6 months from an okay checkup, it went to a 5.5-inch tumor in my lung. So it had grown so rapidly that they were super scared.
Yeah.
Because it was as big as a grapefruit and it was growing an inch a month.
And how long did you put off this? The seeing a doctor while you had this voice thing?
Like a month, like everyone does, you know, or like I always do. Like I'm like, it'll
probably go away.
It'll go away.
And also, you are at this time, you're probably a little bit tapped out on doctor visits, right? You're probably not like you have a cough and you're like, well, I just had cancer. It's not going to be worse than cancer. This will probably go away.
It makes me feel bad. Well, yeah, it's true. Like having cancer doesn't make being regular sick be like, you know what's crazy about being regular sick is you can do nothing and it just goes away.
Yeah.
It's like most diseases, or not a lot, but most of the ones that you encounter in your life, it's just time and like Gatorade will cure it. Yeah. And so I've been sick a couple times, like normal sick, and I laugh like, oh yeah, I just gotta like chill out for less than a week.
I do want to ask, I guess now, so like my anxiety would go, you've been sick since cancer. You've had a cold since cancer. Yeah. My anxiety would go, oh man, like but you are just like, no, like this is nothing, or I don't know.
I don't know. I've always had like an optimistic point of view, which really helped in the cancer.
Yeah.
But it also hurts for stuff like this, where it's like, I had rare and aggressive cancer and now I'm coughing. Is it cancer back? And I go, no, it's fine. It's not cancer. It's not back. I
have this like rule now in terms of tempering my anxiety with any health stuff. I just say anything I have, like if it's earache, if it's a toothache or whatever it is, I give it a week. If it's there after a week, then you go in. And I don't worry about it for a week. Whatever it is, if I'm sick for whatever it is, then I think that's like a pretty good. It's like
that's what a doctor would tell you. Like, let's wait a week. Anyway, so just wait a week before going to the doctor, I think. They say you've got a grapefruit in your lungs. Yeah, and the timing was really bad because I had met an amazing woman, and she got a job back in Austria. She's Austrian, and she got a job back in Austria, and she goes, crazy idea. Do you want to come with me and just try living in Austria for a while, see if we can make it work for a year? And I was like, yes, like saying yes to life, who knows what could happen. I had cancer once, let's say yes to life and do it. And so we were planning this move to Vienna all through the fall. And this is the fall of 22. So it'd been just over a year since the cancer, and we were going to move after Christmas. And this is like December 14th. And so, they gave me the news, and I was like, I don't know, like I can't go to Vienna right now, obviously. I was going to go to Vienna in like a week.
Yeah.
And so it blew up everything. And she ended up staying in the States for 6 months while I got treated. And then Yeah. So then, right. So it was like chemo right away. Although it was Christmas, so I had to figure it out. So one of the weirdest Christmases I've ever had.
The honeymoon phase is over pretty quickly. Once you say you have cancer,
The honeymoon phase. That's a great point. I mean, was it the honeymoon phase?
Because cause she's just like, God, I'm in love with you. You should come to Vienna with me. And you're like, I will go, but we've got to do something.
I would say it's like more like a different kind of nice phase. It's like kind of like the honeymoon phase where she goes, I'm cancer girlfriend now. Like, I'll give you any, I'll do anything for you.
Dude, you guys know I'm a little softy, man.
Yeah.
This really warms my heart.
I mean,
I didn't know the particulars about this. I actually wrote down to ask about this, how you guys navigated and how navigated the relationship and how she must have been, I just feel like so many people, speaking for myself, I'll admit it. I don't think I'd be that great. I don't think I would be a great, maybe I'd show up. It's easy to say you'd show up for someone.
Yeah,
it's easy to be like, you know what, dude, how long were you guys together for at this point?
It was like less than a year. It was like about a year, like 8 months.
If my girl of 8 months got cancer, it's easy to be like, I'd be a fucking prince. Like I would be her knight in shining armor. I'd be there. It's easy to say. It's easy to say.
Hard to do.
It's hard to fucking do. I don't, and it's like, there are studies about like relationship, like 20-year-long relationships collapsing after like harsh,
right. Or during, harsh things.
Sicknesses and stuff like that. Yeah. So this goes down, and where were the moments of like tension, or where was it? When did it get tough, and how did you know that it was like that this was gonna last post?
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, like she got on her computer right away, and she got her New York job back. So she's on a 2 weeks notice from her New York job. Her last day was the day after I was supposed to get diagnosed. Her day was she's supposed to be done, and she just hopped on with her HR right away, like, hey, can I not quit? And they're like, yeah, we just won't have you quit. So she like instantly changed her plans within hours of the diagnosis. So
my God.
That was really clutch. That was really amazing.
And to her, it was there was no conversation. She was just like, no, I'm going to get my job back.
I think I must have been like a little people pleaser boy and been like, you can just go to Vienna and I'll just meet you later. Like, it's no big deal. Like, I'm always saying it's no big deal and saying I don't need help. And obviously I clearly do. Like I could be bleeding in the street and be like, I'm actually good. I'll meet you guys at the restaurant. Like I could get hit by a car and be like, guys, it's okay.
Don't worry about me.
I don't want you to like mess with the reservation, so you can call somebody else and fill the table out.
But so she was like, it's fine. She's like, it's fine. I'm going to stick around.
She stuck around.
And then what does caretaking a cancer-riddled Terence Hartnett look like?
That's the thing, is like that's what's so like, it's so not a movie to take care of a cancer patient, because there's only so much to do. Like it's so much more boring than it seems like it's gonna be. Like, and you think about like, I'll be the partner, I'll do everything, and it's like literally I'm going to my parents' house and they'll take care of the logistics of like feeding me and making sure I'm comfortable. Like if I didn't have a family who wanted to see me and take care of me, then she would have been more that person to like literally making me the soup.
Yeah.
So she was kind of like, there's only so much help you can give. The doctors are helping a bunch, clearly.
Yeah.
And then there's just, basically it's like someone to give you rides and soup. Like what is people mailed me edibles. I needed the edibles, some food, video games, and then maybe someone to drive me around. So there's like 5 people who could do that. So luckily she didn't have to like, and that's what's kind of I learned is like.
And this was you were getting care up in Syracuse.
Yeah, so my doctors from the cancer initially were in Syracuse, and then the Syracuse people also had a hookup with the best testicular cancer doctor in America. He treated Lance Armstrong, so they're like, "You stick with us, we'll hook you up with the Indiana guy."
Lance's doctor.
I got Lance Armstrong's doctor, best in the biz.
Got to feel good.
It felt right.
Because when he touches your balls, you're like, this is the one time.
Stay as long as you want down there. Do whatever you got to do down there. I trust you completely. These same hands.
Yeah.
These same hands for cradling. We're cradling the Livestrong ball.
You're like, these are, yeah.
I bought the book. I was all in on Lance after I wrote an
way.
RV. I mean, people mailed me the book, to be honest. It's an easy purchase. You know, I might have got a couple copies.
Yeah, easy comfort there.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's up with you. Is she? I'm gonna pry a little bit.
Please.
Is she crashing in bed with you? Is she separate? But where's she staying?
Same bed.
So that okay. No one's asked that.
Same bed. Bed.
She's sitting next to. She's sleeping next to Cancer Boy
with a sexless chemo worm. You know, it's props to her.
That dick ain't rising for nobody.
I was not.
I mean, you have to riff at some point, but like. I promise. I think you're beautiful still. Something like that. You're just like,
babe. It's not you. It's the best excuse for ED in the world. Yeah.
You and we can kind of. Dude, I remember I was like, I hadn't seen like, I think like one of the first times I saw you after you were really coming back. Like the second I said like, how are you? Second question I asked her, I was like, how are the boners? Which is like crazy, such a psychotic.
With the great Drago preamble of like, dude, I'm going to ask you something. Feel free to say no. No problem whatsoever. How are the boners?
I did. But yeah, by the way, I thought it was such a funny riff to say that your show was like, just by being like, by the way, dude, top 3. I thought it was funny to put it in like one, but it's sincerely.
I'm honored to have top 3.
It is like one of the best ever. It's sincerely so good.
I'd say top 10, but top 3 is generous.
No, sincere. I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh wait, that sounds like kind of lame. But anyway, I've been having a little anxiety about that since I do want to say one more. I'm going to say it one more time. It's a masterful piece of work. But I want to go back to boners.
Please.
Your boner journey. Getting hard.
So what's people?
Are you ever feeling? When you're in the chemo stages, you're never. There's no like. There's nothing going.
That's
on.
not true. Chemo takes you out for a week. You're like totally messed up for a week, and then you have an okay week, and then you have a good week where you're feeling normal again. Although you're like your hair is still gone and whatever, but you feel normal again for a week, and then you're fully recovered. And then they go, okay, it's time for more chemo. You usually get 3 weeks between treatments.
Yeah.
So it's this up, down, up, down, up, down. So I would schedule things for the good week. Like I would come down to New York during the good week.
Great.
Or I would visit a friend, have a friend visit me in the good week. And she was working in New York coming up and down, and I would schedule her for that week. I think we might have gotten it in during a good week.
And I imagine she's really.
Once in a while.
I was gonna say, I imagine she was never like, do you want to go down on me? I mean, while you're, do you want to do a little work around here? Or
the broiest question of all time.
I mean, she never. No,
does the girl ever give you no. Girls are always asking you to go down on them.
I mean, they're sexual creatures too. But it's very. To me, I don't know. It's just like that is awesome that she slept in the same bed with you. She took care of you. She drove you around. Was there ever a time where you were like? Was there ever a time where you're just kind of you're stitched up, you're bald, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're going like, does she like me like she says she does?
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, yeah.
Do you ever go like how? Is there a part of you that's like, is she gonna stick? Like, not to be too.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that
I was
feels
constantly like, I get ahead of it. I was always just like, and just another reminder, you can go at any time. It's like, just to reiterate, you do not have to be here. But it wasn't a question. I mean, like we were fully in love. I mean, like we're planning a life together already. So it was like out of the question. Of course, once in a while, you give her the like, you can just go ahead. You got a life to live. Like, cause it was shaky there for a while.
Yeah.
Where it was like, do you want to just wait around while this guy dies?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, of course. Yeah.
So I tried to signal that it was like, this is going south. No shade if you get out of here.
So your family's all helping you out. The girlfriend's living with you.
Yeah.
When does it become the sort of the lowest the lowest moment for you in terms of like when is rock bottom at this point?
What was nice
I imagine that's approaching within this arc.
It was right away. This thing is like with the
you drop
down to nothing right away. Like while I was at my worst.
Once they say that there's like a grapefruit sized tumor, you're pretty much like, well, this is zero. This is ground zero.
What's funny is like people think, and people like saw me, like Tucker was just saying, like when I saw you, dude, and you were all bald and frail, like I was like, this guy might not make it, but I was like, you didn't really understand how cancer treatment works. Like that was advanced cancer treatment that was making me look so much shitty like that.
Right.
But at that point, they knew that it was working, and they're like, okay, good, we're making progress. But at first,
oh my God,
right away, they're like, we literally don't know how to treat the disease that you have. It's rare and aggressive. That's a crazy combination, right? So rare means they haven't seen a lot of cases like this.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
And aggressive means it's growing at a pace that is untenable. And it's like, if nothing we do works, you might have a year. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like growing near my heart and lung. It's in my lung.
They straight up were just like probably a year.
They never say that stuff, but you can find out and you can extrapolate. I mean, my doctors never did like, here's your chances of living, here's how long you have to live.
Yeah.
Because they were just saying like, we don't know.
Yeah.
We are going to experiment with some chemo drugs and figure it out. But that's super scary because the uncertainty that happens right away. So right away was rock bottom. And then you start getting news. So they had to do 2 rounds of chemo before they knew the chemo was going to work. So that is 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So the first 6 weeks to 2 months, we literally didn't know if the intense chemo that I was getting was doing anything to stop me from dying.
Yeah.
So
those 2 months
0 to 2 months was the hardest part.
Because those are the ones where you're going, you're driving to the hospital in between those to the checkups, and you're basically going like, there are these sheets of paper and all this data that they have in these computers that basically are going to say whether you're going to live or die, essentially.
Yeah, well, they don't. Yeah, they just don't. They're waiting for more information.
You're in the waiting room, going like, I'm going to be told. I'm seeing the Grim Reaper right now, essentially.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
there's a couple of those waiting rooms where you're like, this is the one.
Yeah, that was the worst.
This is the one where they
part.
tell me or not.
Yes,
that's absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and they just didn't know. They just didn't know
how many edibles to deal with that. It's funny because is the right amount.
Yeah, the drug that helps with chemo physically is also the drug that makes it the weirdest to think about death. Like it makes you be like a little bit of the paranoia of like, you know, when you think like, oh, all my friends hate me. That transfers when you're super high and you have cancer. It transfers to like, oh, none of my friends are gonna, you know, like say I was a good comedian. They're all gonna say I was nice. That was the darkest thought that I had. Was like I pictured the Instagram posts like one of the nicest guys in comedy just passed away.
Yeah,
would just nothing about the material.
Would just do anything for you. Yeah. He would do anything.
Whether you saw him at an open mic or hanging out at a show that he wasn't booked on, this guy was just an absolute mensch.
Ran great shows.
I was like, damn, yeah. Those kind of thoughts, like
legacy thoughts. Legitimately?
Absolutely legacy thoughts. Yeah. And so I didn't have a special. I had done comedy for 8 years. I had nothing really to show for what I had devoted my life to.
Yeah.
That kind of depressing stuff. Those are the rock bottom things. I mean, after I'm talking to you, that's how I talk to you about stuff. But of course, like, you know, my family's going to have a dead kid in it. My girlfriend is going to have a dead boyfriend. And,
yeah.
Like, what is she going to be dating in a year? Like, yeah, you know, my last relationship didn't end very well.
Yeah,
like
no,
all that stuff, like, yeah.
So there's the burden part becomes pretty extra. That becomes pretty
totally.
That kind of wears on you a little bit.
Yeah. Right, and that's the thing that I'm only fully appreciating now is that cancer doesn't happen to just you; it happens to everybody around you.
Yeah,
like they all got cancer, sort of. Like they all had to deal with this crazy big thing, and they don't get the advantage of being like a cancer survivor. But they had this big, dark part of their past, and they're all sharing. They're kind of talking about it now. It's kind of cool. They're all kind of trading stories about how they felt to each other and talking about it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, they're connecting in a way that I can't even connect to them because, like, I didn't have the experience of a loved one having cancer. I was going through it myself, so.
The way
they're connecting out.
your feeling about it is just like I mean, there's like euphoria, relief, and everything, but they have like they went through something together that wasn't necessarily with you then,
Right. I mean, it's a different thing
there's times where you're sleeping 15 hours a day or whatever, and they're just downstairs at the kitchen table, like that's when they're
yeah.
They're just like, what are we?
Right. Like I was asleep during the surgery, and then it's like my girlfriend and my parents are sitting there playing Wordle or whatever in the waiting room, waiting for someone to walk out and say yes or no. And like even these, right. So yeah, I had 4 rounds of chemo. So that's like 3 or 4 months. And then they did a surgery to remove my whole left lung to get the whole tumor out of there.
The lungs got to go.
Lungs got to go. So that was another down point. So like there was like the initial crazy low of like, who knows? And then the chemo shrunk the tumor. Like I remember one day I woke up and my voice was fine.
Oh my God.
It went back to being bad, but my first chemo, I woke up and my dad was like, how you doing, buddy? And I would go, I feel pretty good, actually. Whoa, I sound pretty good. And I had to call my mom right away to be like, Mom, look, the voice is back. And then later that day, it would like,
No, dude, that's oh God, that's so wild. I do want. I'm going to say a quick side note about some of this stuff. Sometimes this is like I since I'm being 100% honest with you. This has happened to me a couple times in the last year. I've gotten sick a couple times where it's been super annoying or a little longer than anticipated or was like untimely.
Mm-hmm.
And I have said to myself, I bet Terrence would trade with you. or I'm just like, I'm like, this can't really be, you know what I'm saying? I was like, this can't really be like this. I was like, it's gonna be fine, but it's just a very
it gave you perspective.
No, oh dude.
No, I'm serious.
100%, you know. And something I wonder about, this is more like, I don't know why my brain goes here, but I think it's because you're with your loved ones, so these are the people that like, they don't see you as even in the worst moments. Sometimes they may not always see you as like a cancer patient in this way. They see you as like their loved one that they've known for 30 years or whatever. So was there ever a time where you're in an argument with your brother or mom or dad, and then at some point you go, hey, by the way, I have cancer? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever had like did you ever like a benign argument where your brother's like, oh, like, or something like that? Did that ever happen where your brother's like, oh, like, or, you know, if someone in your family is like, well, actually, you know, or like, I think Trump should run or something like that. And you're like, well, fuck you, I have cancer or something. Does that ever come up? Or
my family is so sarcastic that the way that comes across is like, I'll be like lying there in a sweatsuit, bald, playing video games, and they'll be like, I'll hit them with like that must be really hard.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like they all speak that language of like just the driest sarcasm, where I just like
totally
give them a big glance, look down at my bald, pale figure, and go, tell me more about how hard that is. Oh yeah. Traffic was backed up by the university. That's not easy.
I can just see. I don't know. I can see my I can see my sister or my brother just being like, we're having dinner or something like that, and I just see my sister or my brother just being like, how do you not like tomatoes or something like that? Like tomatoes are like, they're so good. Like I can see my sister like forgetting the situation and just being like you have such a shitty palate, like and then I would just be like, I have cancer.
I have fucking cancer.
I can see those moments getting like, I can see the family moments overtaking the getting lost in the
you can't, and this comes back to like the girlfriend angle, is like you can't be like a cancer angel hero girlfriend all the time. / cancer hero cancer hero dad, cancer hero brother, cancer hero mom. It's like you can't be that. Sometimes it's like, hey, would you rinse these before you put them in the sink? I mean, it's like, it just gets so crusty.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just a little tired from all the chemo.
Yeah.
It's not easy to actually stand up for that long to rinse it. Yeah. Because and it was 6 months, so it's like, month one, it's like, you're good to leave dishes right there on the coffee table.
Do you need anything? And then you're like, hey, can you like, you pick up after yourself.
I'm like, hey, remember the bell that you guys gave me? Are we not using the bell anymore? I guess I'll just text you now. Are we not listening for the bell anymore?
Come on, guys.
Month 3, it's like the bell isn't working as well as month 1, seems like.
Yeah.
Is that just me or?
When did you start to feel then? So then when are we starting to come alive again?
Boy. I mean, like my second Fringe was like I just barely made it to Fringe. So like I had scheduled Fringe in August for then, and the lung came out in late April around my birthday, and then I had to do 2 more rounds of chemo to make sure that they had gotten all the microscopic whatever. So that was really tough to go back into chemo,
Clean you out
after surgery. And also I had gone to New York after the surgery, and they gave me like a solid 2 months to recover from the chemo before giving me chemo again. So my hair was growing back. I was looking healthier. People were being like, "Oh, you look great, man." Oh, it seems like you had cancer, all this stuff. And then in my mind I go, I'm going to have chemo on Monday. So then I had to go back. And so then, chemo took me out, but I kind of knew at that point that they had done such a good job. So that was kind of like, I consider that fun chemo.
Yeah.
So I had 4 hard chemos, like, holy shit, hope it works. And then 2 just in case chemos where I'm like, okay, it's just edibles and Nintendo Switch. So this is how you cure this. I knew how to do it.
Yeah.
But I also was feeling really bad. And so once that wrapped up, like basically as soon as I was recovered from that, I went to Scotland and I was feeling okay. So like I barely made it to Fringe last year, and I was feeling okay at Fringe.
Well, Drago, you want to take a quick break and do a little ad read?
Absolutely.
Wow, folks. Folks, we have a new sponsor, a sponsor that we actually believe in morally, a sponsor that doesn't support the IDF, a sponsor that has good ethics, folks. Ounce of Hope, a dispensary from Memphis, Tennessee. They do aquaponic weed, Drago. What do you think about
the
that?
South. Gotta love weed. Gotta have it. I can't. I've been trying it. The products have been great.
Even Drago likes it. It doesn't give him anxiety. It doesn't give me anxiety. If you're any good joke I've said in the last couple episodes has been because of Ounce of Hope weed, folks. It's made me, I don't even think about climate change anymore because of Ounce of Hope weed. I don't even feel pity for the Palestinian people anymore.
And I don't think about my
weed
exes, so it's been great.
Drago doesn't think about his exes. There we go. It's great weed. If you go to ounceofhope.com, folks, use the promo code OSMOS. You order over $50, you get a free joint. I just smoked one this afternoon. It was great. So if you could also host a successful podcast if you smoke Ounce of Hope weed, folks.
Give it a try. Give it a whirl.
Locally owned, independent business, folks. This is the type of sponsorship I can actually get behind.
Support Memphis.
Fuck Beatbox. Go Ounce of Hope.
Go John Morant.
John Morant, Memphis boy. Yes, thank you. There we go. Buy Ounce of Hope. Use the promo code OSMOS, $50 or more. Get a free joint. And we're back.
What was the first like in terms of like, I don't want to call it rehab, but it's like, what's the first like physical activity that you even tried to do to get back into shape or whatever?
You got to walk. Walking was so nice.
So what was the first like 15-minute walk? Just like, was it like crazy? Was it so super difficult?
No, you're doing 15-minute walks the whole time, like little short walks. It wasn't like you're in bed because like once again you have the like bad week, okay week, good week. And even in the bad week, I'm walking around the house. In the okay week, I'm walking outside for 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
I can do some stuff. I can see people. I can go to the store or whatever,
Sure.
And the okay week, you're feeling better.
What was the first like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm doing this physical activity?
Let me tell you. I was walking with the lady after the whole thing was over, and I'm walking, and I just go, we're on the beach at the lake in Lake Ontario, and I just go, I think I'm gonna run for a little bit. She's like,
No.
Really? And I just like ran. I just like felt really, really good. Sun was out, edibles hitting. I'm in love. I feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just run for a little bit. Try to see how the lung does with a run. I think I made it like 100 yards. But
No, and you were just like,
got out of breath, feeling it. Yeah.
you were like, you're like, holy shit, I'm out of breath.
Yeah,
That's the first sign of like, oh my fucking God.
My heart's beating fast for the first time in 6 months. Like, I'm getting actual like some cardio actually happening.
No. So
so
you
nice.
must have been like, no, that must have been fucking unbelievable. So then,
Really nice.
and then at that point, what are some of the other little victories coming back that you maybe expected to feel awesome or didn't expect to be like, wow, I can't believe how much I'm enjoying this again?
I mean, to be honest, like I was like literally in the hospital, scheduling my fringe. You have to do this stuff like 6 to 7 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
So it was like right when I got re-diagnosed, I was like, well, I am going to go back to fringe again. They're telling me the schedule is going to be this way. I'm just gonna put the deposits down on the fringe thing, and just hopefully I'll be back for that. And then finally getting there and being like, oh, I can stand up for an hour. I can do all the things that require a fringe. I can stand outside and do my flyers, and I can like get dressed and perform for an hour. Like that was like, holy shit. And then the shows are selling really well. People had seen me the first fringe, and then they followed me on Instagram, and then they were like, holy shit, this guy got cancer again. So their experience in Scotland and in England, and people who see me at Fringe, is like they see this really good show about this like no big deal cancer, and then I'm posting on Instagram like, it's back, chemo, it's back, lung, like I'm telling them all these terrible things.
Yeah.
And then people came back to the show like, hey, we came back, we just wanted to make sure like you're okay. We didn't believe you were gonna be back.
Yeah.
And that was so cool.
And then that show was amazing.
That show was the show that you saw.
Yeah. And so you're just crushing. And it's and then people start to hear about it then at Fringe.
Yeah. It picked up. It sold really well. Yeah, Fringe is the best thing in the world. So I fucking love it.
You must have been. So then it was it is an hour-long show.
It's an hour. It's like 50 minutes because you have to get 10 minutes to get out of there because someone's literally waiting to go up after you're done. So it's like a 50-minute show.
Okay,
you introduce yourself. There's no host. You just go up and go, hey, welcome. Let's get started. So that's fun.
And you're okay. So feeling the feeling of killing for a sold out crowd after overcoming this, that was another like
huge W, as you can imagine.
What about food? Let's talk food.
First
thing you had.
Or
were you always just kind of eating whatever?
I was always. I would eat pretty bland foods. And the marijuana edibles, shout out once again to marijuana edibles. They make it all okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not really a digestion problem. It's an appetite problem with chemo, in my experience. It's like, it's not that you eat it and you feel like shit. It's that you don't want to put that shit in your body because it looks so gross and it sounds gross and it like looks, I don't want to chew anything or eat anything gross. It's not that you can't digest it.
It's all going on. Yeah.
It looks disgusting. I mean, they say it reduces your appetite. I don't know, because your body's been poisoned by poison. So
yeah,
I think your body thinks like, no more poison, please.
Yeah.
But then you get high and the appetite comes back. I mean, if you're on chemo, try marijuana edibles. It's the best medicine I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
For anything, like it just fits so incredibly well.
If I can ask, will you like, if you got a cold, would you implement marijuana edibles, or is it just specifically for?
It would be incidental because I just do it anyway, and I use edibles. The edibles is like, you're not gonna hurt you.
Yeah,
like it's not gonna. I mean, I never really got super high. I always keep it like nice.
Yeah,
and like a 15 milligram.
Yeah.
Just for those at home trying to figure out the dose, but like a cold, it doesn't help that much. But hey, it helps you. I mean, it doesn't help the cancer either, but it helps you lie
I couldn't
around.
imagine. Yeah, I guess having like doing weed with the cold or the edibles with the cold would be a little much for me, I suppose.
What's the thing about like you feed a fever and you starve a flu or
something
whatever?
like that? Yeah.
It's like
you
you
get high.
you get a cancer baked. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom always told me.
My mom always said,
is it starve a fever and then get high as shit for cancer, or is it starve a cancer and get high as shit for a fever?
Were you was the highest you've ever been? While like, was there ever a day where you're just like, I'm gonna take fucking 3 edibles and just go to the moon?
I think the highest I've ever been has still been from like smoking or like hash.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Me and my roommates used to do hash on the stove.
Yeah,
and like heat it up with like a hot knife, and then you like suck. It's like smoking crack of weed, and so that was still higher. So I honestly like I didn't get that high. I mean, I was getting high consistently, and so upping the dose just to have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I called it cocktail hour. Like around 5 o'clock, I'd be like, I could put it off until now. Mom's having a glass of wine. I'm having an edible. We're all gonna have a good time.
Beautiful.
And it was really fun.
And then you're coming back.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like, now you look like you.
I'm as back as I could possibly. I'm so happy how much it came back.
You feel
so back.
Is what took the longest to come back of any part of your body? Did
the voice? the hair grew back or whatever, but like I was worried about performing, and I was thinking like, oh, I may never be a comedian again, or like be a comedian that can be like, hey, thanks for that. Like,
sure, yeah.
I do a lot of vocal, and I mean, we all do a lot of vocal inflections in your thing. So it's like, am I gonna have to be like a monotone Stephen Wright kind of comedian?
Yeah.
Am I gonna have to get smarter jokes in order to go with my monotone voice, or can I keep selling mediocre premises with my engaging voice?
Oh my God.
And physicality. So the problem with the voice was the tumor was on the nerve that controls my left voice box, left of the larynx, you know? So when they removed the tumor, they told me it'd be all better. But also when they removed the tumor, they could have damaged that nerve it was on, and so that it would be stuck like that forever, paralyzed that left side of my vocal cords, making that voice that way forever.
Oh.
So I had to tell him like, hey, by the way, I'm a comedian, and I would try as hard as you can, please, with the voice thing.
Yeah.
Like it was a weird thing of like, this is like sort of a professional consideration, you know, like
Yeah.
I could lose hundreds of dollars a year if you guys don't.
No, but you're like, this is like my thing, of course. Yeah.
I'd be like, if this counts, which I think it might, because you don't want to tell them you're a comedian, so they'll ask you to tell you a joke or like be like, hey, funny man, how's the cancer?
Right.
But I had to just like let it slip to the surgeon, like, hey, please, if you can help with be careful with the nerve.
I'm gonna need you to lock in.
And once you hit
like
that just part. Focus. Like you can leave a little bit of cancer if you need to.
Yeah, you can fuck around like other places, but just like don't fuck around.
The voice is huge. Yeah, like you can give me a bigger scar.
Yeah.
Give me more. Like dig around there for longer. Dig around it. Go the long way around if you have to.
Take the scenic route.
Figure it out.
No,
take half the heart. Whatever you got to do.
I gotcha. And is your now in terms of like your lung capacity and being a runner now, you've always been a runner.
Yeah.
So now
wait, but before the voice took a while to come back. So they took it out the lung and told me the voice was gonna be back, and it wasn't. And they were just like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was gonna be all better. And they go, we just don't know. I mean, the nerve was aggravated.
They're like, what do you want, dude? You're the first guy.
Yeah, I know. Like we just did this for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's a complicated surgery, as you can imagine, because most things that you do surgery on, they're not moving, but the lung and the heart are moving.
Yeah.
And you can't stop them or else you die.
Yeah.
So like they just have to work on a moving target. And so they're like, we're going to try our best, but it's like, what are you going to do here?
Yeah.
And so they did a great job. They did great, but the voice came back super slowly, and it was all the way back by the time I got to Fringe. So I was like super psyched, but it took a while to get back.
Dude, and then I gotta ask about because I asked like, how is it running?
Yeah.
How do you feel running now with one fucking lung, dude?
I was so surprised.
Have you talked to any like sports professional? Is there anyone to talk to about this? Like,
I'm getting a doctor. I'm like, cause my okay. I'm gonna get a sports doctor because fucking Lance's doctor is icing me out on this marathon question.
Are you serious?
Can you believe this? Lance Armstrong's doctor. Lance Armstrong.
Wow.
So he famously beat cancer and then won the Tour de France 18 months later.
Yeah.
This fucking guy said running a marathon would be a very bad idea. I'm like, yeah, but what about for me? Like, it's like, what about for Lance? You know what I mean? Like, Lance did it.
Oh.
And he goes, it'd be a bad idea. People die in marathons all the time. It'd be a bad idea. And I go, but I was a runner before, plus Lance. Like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
He's like, he said, don't do it. But I'm like,
ooh.
And I'm like, I know you're a genius, and he invented a chemotherapy. He invented a whole new one.
Wow.
And it cured Lance. And I'm like, I know you're an expert, but like, all due respect, it's like, you're not an expert in like sports physiology, right? You're a cancer doctor, right? I know you're a genius and you're the expert in your field, but it's like, you mostly deal with old people who have this shit.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a good idea for anyone to run a marathon medically at all, really.
Sure.
But it's like, I'm a good runner and now I'm back and I was running. So yeah, like the lung thing is like, I'm very surprised. I thought that like I was going to have trouble on like stairs the rest of my life.
Sure, yeah.
Stairs are no problem. Hiking is no problem.
Right.
The only problems arise when I'm breathing heavily. So like I'm in good shape. So like when I hike, I don't breathe heavily normally,
Yeah.
I'm not like losing my breath. My friends are losing their breaths, and they got 2 lungs, but they're just out of shape.
Yeah.
So I just happen to be in shape. And so like we're learning a lot about lung capacity by me hiking with these losers who are slow. Like it's actually a good study because it's like I'm fine and y'all are out of shape. So it's like lung capacity is not everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not.
No.
Like, we're learning it right now. I've got 56% lung capacity. That's the cap for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
They took the smaller one out. There's the smaller lung and the bigger lung. The smaller one's gone. So I got 56% lung capacity.
There we go.
But I don't feel it unless I get to that point where you're breathing hard. Now, getting to the point where you're breathing hard, that is about how in shape you are, how oxygenated you can get your blood and muscles and whatever. That's like about being in shape. So luckily I'm in shape.
Yeah.
And unless I'm out of breath, I don't feel an effect from the one lung. So I can't sprint as well. I mean, I played basketball a little bit, but I used to be like up and down the court, like getting back on D.
Yeah.
And then they always put the guy on me who could run the fastest.
Sure.
And I would try to pick a guy who's a good shooter or a good post player.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tire you out, so you're going to play as well on offense.
Yeah.
Like I would just do that. But now I can't do that as much. I can't sprint as
But you
readily.
you could run 13 miles.
Yeah, I ran 13.1 miles yesterday, dude. Right. So
That must have been.
it was huge. But I'm also I'm like strangely like sort of a competitive, I don't know, I'm an ambitious person.
Definitely.
And so I'm like, I want the marathon. This half is nothing.
I want to stop right there, and I want to roll into the Patreon, but I have a question for that on the Patreon. But we're going to pick up where we left off. I've got a ton more questions. We got a ton more to talk about. We're going to do some more listener questions on the Patreon. We're going to get to that. And we'll talk about some Chicago stuff. We'll wax poetic.
We go all the way back.
We'll go all the way back.
Drago started at my open mic.
We will, yes, we'll do it all in the Patreon. But let's do another plug real quick.
Please.
Some Instagram.
The Instagram is
dates.
Hartnett, HAHARTNETT. I'm Terence Hartnett, and the special's coming out very soon. It's probably going to be called One Ball Show, and be on the lookout for this. A bigger project in the works. I'm hoping that'll be out soon too. This is there's a lot of things really popping off, so please follow the Instagram and check me out. The comedy is very funny. I'm not sure how funny I was this hour, but the comedy is very funny.
Dude, yeah, I mean, we had a great. This is one of the best. I mean, this pod that we just had was fucking awesome.
And also,
It
I'll
was
be on
great.
your podcast. Yeah, I'm a good podcast. I got a lot to say.
Yes, have Terrence on your pod. Come see him. I mean, I imagine you'll do some more touring eventually.
Yeah.
So
I want to be in the U.S. every year.
Yeah, when he comes to your city, please follow him. Be on the lookout for One Ball Show. It's fucking something else, man. It's so unbelievably good. I can't.
It's
stress that
so
enough.
fucked up how much my ego depends on like people like your opinion. You know, like because like Drago wouldn't give it up if it wasn't good, and that means a lot.
I unfortunately wouldn't. And
Yeah.
that's something I need
That
to.
hurts him in his personal and professional
I
life.
need to work that out in my
It's a
personal
huge
life
problem
for
for our
sure. I
friend
need,
Drago.
I need to be a little less blunt.
But it benefits me in this small situation.
But yeah, and but I am honest.
You shoot
And
them straight.
I couldn't. I literally couldn't believe how good it was. So make sure to check that out. We're rolling to the Patreon now. Subscribe to the Patreon. We love you guys very much. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Dude, doesn't that rip?
You're an idiot.
No, you're an idiot.